Um, there we go. Here's a nice little corridor for you.
I like the fact it auto resumes as well. You could see it thinking almost.
The new navigation agents are wonderful. Like, let's take a look at the ball script. Okay, so ball is a character body 2D. So it's a physics body. So it's moved by physics, but it's not a rigid body. It's not moved by forces. It is directly moved by code, and it has no mass. So we'll say when you get this impulse, move. Let's take a look what the impulses are. We have a navigation agent specified. It must be a navigation agent, and it is this node. But it's set up so if I wanted to, I could change it to a different node. Which is should be up here, but I can't see it. It's fine. We have a speed. Every frame, check if the navigation finished agent has run this function. If it has, stop. Otherwise, keep going. We have two more things. When we get new destination, then you're just going to go to the navigation agent and tell it set target position with our new coordinates. This click here, this blueprint test new destination is just set to be where we click. So if you click somewhere, that's where it goes. And then we have this thing here on navigation agent 2D. So right here, velocity computed. So when you've computed the velocity, here's your safe velocity. Then I want you to move. This allows us to do something kind of fun. This is the wrong map. This is the correct one. Okay, cool. Let's take this and just go duplicate, 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 duplicate. All right. We have collision avoidance. Oh, they're not all set. Wait, no. If I move it to another ball, you'll see it tries to move around the thing.
Yeah.
Or it will slow. Um, I don't have that set up to run multiples at the same time, but you can. I've done that in the past. So what's happening? Blueprint test is just taking an input. When there's a left click, just tell it, I want you to move here. When there's a right click, go right. Because I'm using a signal rather than a group call, I would have to, in fact, I can set this up right now. Let's just do that. Set this destination to every ball. Boop. Ball 3. Ball 4. I forgot what I was doing. Ball 5. Okay.
Nice.
So we run this, and now when I click, if I remember what I've done, they all get confused. Awesome. Yeah, no, I completely forgot how I set this up. I set this up a while back, so apologies. But in theory, you could do it that way. Or it doesn't have to be on click. They just pick a destination and start moving. What's nice about this is that I don't have to put any AI into this. It has a destination. Can it go there? That's all we care about. The navigation agent 2D and 3D is wonderful. You give it a radius. You tell it if it has to avoid things. You tell it how many neighbors it can have and how far away they can be, and it just works it out for you. Whereas before, you would have to code this all in manually. So yeah, there's my quick little introduction to using tar maps in God of 4.
Got another.
They are a little fussy, but once you have them set, they're amazing. And you can do all kinds of stuff: randomization, animation, custom data sets, bringing scenes in. So you can actually have, logic and all the rest of it built in.
Got another question. This is a 2D node at this point. Do you need to convert it to 3D? Does Godot do that for you, or do you need to do it separately?
So the 3D version of a tar map is a grid map. And grid maps don't work quite like tar maps. You don't have access to terrains. You'd have to write that in yourself. The dungeon you saw was originally a grid map. We stopped using a grid map because grid maps have some limitations, not least of which a grid map is a single object, right? So you'll change what's in each cell, So in a tile map, you have tiles, and a grid map, you have cells. So this room here is this mesh and this collision and all the rest of it, but it's still technically one object. So it can only have a certain amount of lights on it, and you can't use occlusion culling
It's
because
4,
it's one
isn't it?
object.
The amount of objects, amount of lights on one object was 4, which is causing us a
32,
problem.
I think.
Oh, okay.
It got
Whatever
up
it was,
to
the limitation was actually
God
quite.
3, it was a lot lower. God
Yeah.
4, they've raised it, and there's a place where you can go change it. But that's performance cost. There's a reason why you
Yes.
don't simulate lighting all the time. The other reason is occlusion culling works by object, not by vertex.
Yes.
So what that means is you either see the object or you don't. So if your entire grid map is one object, then occlusion culling will never work because you can see it. You can see it, therefore the whole thing is rendered. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
That's fine. I stopped sharing your screen and started sharing our handsome faces a few moments ago.
Oh, I didn't know I'd brought my handsome face.
I'll just put that face on.
So yeah, grid maps are a lot of fun. We did originally use them for our dungeon. Then we moved over to just custom instancing and moving around individual scenes.
Yeah.
It suited our purposes better, but with a grid map is potentially as powerful as a tile map. They just haven't put in those terrain features on a grid map yet.
And when our rooms got rather dense, everything being a single object, as you were pointing out earlier, meant that a lot of extra geometry was being rendered unnecessarily.
But if you
wasn't being
have
culled.
a smaller space or a specific kind of level or a specific kind of game, like our levels are big. Each room is 20 by 20, well, 20 by 7 by 20 meters, and there are 100 tiles by default. So that's 2,000 meters. No, 200 meters. No. Help me, Michael.
Nope.
400.
This is entertaining.
400. I have a drama degree, a drama education degree.
Yeah, 20 by 20, and then in a was it 100 by 100 grid, or was it further than that?
10
Was
by
it
10
100 of them? 10 by, so 10 lots of those. So yeah, 200 by 200 meters.
So it's pretty performant, but if you want to access other things like, I don't know, lots of lights on at the same time or occlusion culling, you'd want a different thing. However, a situation where you want players to be able to place decorations, grid maps are great because all that information is in there. You just add the cell. We are at the hour
already. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, interpretive dances, and jingles. If not, Michael, you can say some things for a while. I've been saying things for an hour.
Okay. I wasn't prepared.
We decided this week we weren't going to play Project Zomboid. We decided to play No Man's Sky. How was that?
So let me tell you a little story about UI and terrible choices.
It's actually gotten a lot better.
I know. So I was very specific with Jan. I was like, do not tell me what to do. I want to go through and have the raw experience. And firstly, before I absolutely moan about it, I want to first say how much that game has come on since I've played
We
it.
had
I
a
played
really
it in
good time.
three other instances where
Once
I've
we
played
got
it.
past the first half hour
Yes.
of just like figuring out the UI and got our ships and started having some freedom and making a base, it got a lot more fun.
Now, I don't know how much of the moaning I was doing was valid, whether I missed a key element. So there were several times where it would show you what to do, but it would like highlight it and it would be all glowy, and I was just clicking. I wasn't actually reading any of the prompts. Click here, click there, yeah, sure. But when it came to doing something myself afterwards, I was like, oh crap, what?
Yeah.
What button did I have to press? I'm just going to press all of the buttons. But there was other things. Some obviously it's been set up for controller, and controller is great for certain circumstances, etc. So I was doing things by clicking on them.
Yep.
And there are several things that it's not a click. It's make sure you're hovering over that item and then click for a bit.
Hold the button down, or a lot of things you have to press X, which brings up a little menu at the bottom, and then you cycle through them, and then you press it. Now, the building system used to be on there. So when you wanted to build a part, you would go to build, go to structures, go to wood, go to walls, and then and that irritated the crap. Now it's just a big window, and it's great.
And one of the things that I spotted straight away was the similarities between that and State of Decay 2. I didn't spot them the first time round, and I started playing it again recently. And one of the things that I notice is when you go into a menu, if it's been set up for a controller, you'd usually select with the, or certainly on an Xbox controller, you'd select with the A, and if you need to come back out a level, you'd press B. Now they've mapped that for mouse and keyboard to left click and right click. So it's taken me a long, long time to understand that the menu that
Yeah.
I'm in, if I do any other exit command, it goes back to the actual
It,
game rather than
the
the
game
UI.
has become a lot of fun, especially with friends. Like, it's just a lot of fun. But the UI takes a while.